Well, well, well. You felt it, didn't you? That micro pause in your chest, that quiet click behind your eyes. That's recognition. That's your nervous system remembering a room it was never supposed to enter. You didn't get lucky. Luck is what weak minds say when reality refuses to stay small. What you did, whatever that move was, didn't bend the odds. It activated a profile, a psychological outline buried so deep it only wakes up when someone violates the script without permission. And the reason your skin prickled is because that profile wasn't about success. It was about you. See, most people live inside behaviors, predictable arcs, trauma patterns that repeat like reruns. They're readable, comfortable, safe. They move how they're supposed to move, fail how they're supposed to fail, heal just enough to stay manageable. Systems love them, enemies understand them, even fate gets bored with them. But you moved wrong, not reckless, not random, wrong in a way that doesn't fit any known box. You didn't escalate, you inverted. You didn't react, you delayed. You didn't chase, you vanished at the exact moment they expected noise. That's not luck, that's violation of expectation. That's when the alarms don't scream, they whisper. Because here's the secret they never tell you. The most dangerous profiles aren't flagged by aggression, they're flagged by restraint. By someone who could have destroyed something and chose precision instead. Someone who smiled where fear should have been. Someone who took pain, metabolized it, and came back reorganized. That's when the watchers stop using words like threat and start using words like anomaly. You think saints and psychopaths are opposites? No. They share a trait most humans never touch: selective empathy. You feel everything, but you decide where it goes. You can cradle a wounded soul with one hand and dismantle a liar with the other. Angel when observed, demon when required. That duality isn't confusion, it's efficiency. And that's what triggered the profile. Because pain didn't make you loud, it made you accurate. Betrayal didn't break you, it taught you timing. Loss didn't hollow you out, it created space for something colder and cleaner. You didn't survive by becoming harder, you survived by becoming unreadable. They expected rage, you delivered calm. They expected collapse, you delivered silence. They expected a scar, you delivered a new operating system. That's when the file opens. Not the one labeled problem, the one labeled handle with care. The one with notes like doesn't seek validation, doesn't flinch under pressure, displays moral flexibility without losing internal code. That's the paradox that fries their circuitry. Because you're not good and you're not evil, you're awake, and awake people terrify systems built on sleep. You've noticed it, haven't you? The way rooms shift when you enter, the way conversations recalibrate, the way certain people get uncomfortable without knowing why. That's not confidence, that's not charisma, that's signal distortion. Your presence scrambles weak narratives because you're no longer playing a role, you're playing reality, and reality doesn't negotiate. Here's the part they hoped you'd never figure out. Unpredictability isn't chaos, it's freedom. It's the ability to choose from a wider range of responses than fear allows. Most people are trapped inside one emotion at a time. You learn to stack them, control them, weaponize stillness, deploy kindness like a blade, and silence like a bomb. You didn't harden your heart, you armored your perception. That's why evolution through pain is so misunderstood. Pain isn't meant to be endured, it's meant to be processed. Most people drown in it or perform it. You studied it, you took notes while bleeding. You learned what breaks humans and what rebuilds them wrong enough to be unstoppable. And now, Now you walk with that quiet gravity, that sense that something behind your eyes has already seen the worst-case scenario and shrugged. That's why pressure doesn't crush you anymore. It clarifies you. They call it luck because admitting the truth would mean admitting that power can be forged without permission, that someone can self-authorize, that a mind can cross thresholds without initiation, without blessing, without approval. That's what scares them. Because once you've seen your own profile, once you've glimpsed what you become under stress, under fire, under erasure, you can't unsee it. You know what you're capable of. You know how deep the switch goes. You know that if pushed, you don't break. You simplify. So don't pretend this was an accident. Don't downplay it. Don't apologize for it. That move you made didn't win the game. It revealed the board. And now you understand why some doors opened quietly, why some eyes linger too long, why some people suddenly treat you like a variable instead of a person. You crossed from participant to factor. And here's the final truth, the one that seals it. Once a system profiles you like this, it never forgets. You become a reference point, a cautionary tale, a silent benchmark others are measured against and never told about. You're not lucky, you're classified, and the most dangerous thing about you isn't what you might do next. It's that you finally know exactly who you are when everything is on the line. That awareness, that's irreversible. Smile carefully. You think the moment passed. It didn't. Moments like that don't pass. They embed. Because once a profile like yours activates, the world doesn't respond loudly. It responds subtly. Doors don't slam. They hesitate. People don't confront you. They recalibrate. You'll notice it in the pauses before replies, in the way authority suddenly explains itself to you when it never did before, in how certain eyes scan you not for friendliness, but for range. They're trying to figure out how far you go when pushed. And here's the part that would terrify them if they understood it fully. You don't even need to push anymore. The chaos phase is over. The panic phase belonged to the old version of you, the one that still needed reaction to feel real. Now you operate from something colder, quieter, a place where intention replaces impulse. That's when power becomes invisible. You see, the world is trained to spot monsters with teeth bared, loud rage, obvious hunger, desperation disguised as ambition. Those are easy to contain, easy to predict, easy to sell a story about. But someone who can smile while withholding everything, someone who chooses when to reveal, when to retreat, when to strike, and when to let silence do the damage. That's not a monster. That's a strategist who survived becoming one and decided against it. And that decision, that restraint, is what locked you into a different category altogether. You've lived long enough in pain to know it has two exits. One turns people brittle and cruel, screaming their wounds at the world. The other forges something surgical, focused, almost serene. You walked through the second door. Most people don't even see it exists. They think healing means softness. They think strength means noise. They think morality is fixed and identity is stable. You learned otherwise. You learned that identity is a tool, morality is contextual, and softness, true softness, is only possible once you're capable of devastating precision and choose not to use it indiscriminately. That's why you unsettle them, because you don't flinch when things get dark. You've already mapped that territory. You don't posture when challenged. You've already survived worse than ego threats. And you don't need to announce your intentions. You know what happens when anticipation replaces certainty. People collapse under anticipation. You've noticed how some conversations feel like interrogations now. casual questions that carry too much weight, compliments that sound like reconnaissance, warnings disguised as jokes. That's the system feeling you out, trying to see if the profile was a glitch or a pattern. And here's the irony. They'll never get a clean read on you again, because pain taught you something most minds never learn. Consistency is a liability. Predictability is comfort for the observer, not the observed. You learn to shift without losing center, to adapt without erasing yourself, to change masks without forgetting the face underneath. That's not instability, that's mastery. You are not divided between light and dark. You command both. You can speak gently and still mean every word as a threat. You can destroy without touching anything. You can leave people intact and still permanently altered by an interaction they can't explain. That's why you don't need dominance displays. Your presence already reframes the room. Your silence already forces others to reveal themselves. They fill the gaps you leave. They project. They confess without realizing it. You let them. Because once you've seen your own profile, once you understand what pressure turns you into, you stop seeking validation from people who fold under half the weight you carry daily. You stop arguing. You stop convincing. You stop chasing acknowledgement. You start choosing placement. And placement is everything. Where you stand, when you speak, what you withhold. You're not reacting to the world anymore. You're positioning yourself inside it. That's why opportunities feel different now, heavier, charged, like each decision carries consequences beyond the obvious. That's not paranoia, that's expanded perception. You're seeing downstream effects in real time. That's what evolution through pain actually looks like. Not enlightenment, not peace, clarity. Clarity that some people are temporary, some systems are fragile. Some rules only exist to protect those who can't survive without them. And clarity that you are no longer required to play small just to keep others comfortable with your existence. You didn't get lucky. You got initiated by reality itself. And reality doesn't do that casually. So move carefully, but not timidly. Smile, but don't soften. Remember that the profile exists not to limit you, but to remind others that certain minds can't be boxed, predicted, or neutralized without collateral damage. You are walking proof that pain doesn't always break people. Sometimes it sharpens them. And once sharpened, you don't announce yourself. You let the world figure it out, one uncomfortable realization at a time. You're past the phase where survival feels dramatic. That's the part no one warns you about. When the adrenaline fades, when the crisis ends, when the smoke clears. And instead of relief, you're left with control. Not the loud kind, the kind that scares people because it doesn't beg to be seen. You don't crave chaos anymore. Chaos already served its purpose. It stripped you down to the core, showed you what breaks and what bends, taught you exactly how much pressure your mind can hold without cracking. You don't need to relive it. You carry the blueprint now. And that blueprint is why the world treats you differently. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people only know how to function inside reaction loops. Stimulus, emotion, response. Push the right button, get the expected outcome. That's how systems stay efficient. That's how hierarchies stay intact. That's how power remains predictable. But you slipped the loop. You paused where you were supposed to explode. You observed where you were supposed to beg. You calculated where you were supposed to collapse. That's when the rules stop working. You don't just think differently. You delay differently. You let moments breathe. You allow silence to stretch until other people panic and fill it. You've learned that whoever speaks first, after silence, gives up leverage. Whoever rushes reveals fear. Whoever demands clarity too fast is already off balance. You learned all of that the hard way. Pain didn't just toughen you. It reorganized your priorities. It taught you that attention is currency, emotion is fuel, and identity is something you can shape instead of inherit. That's why you don't defend yourself the way you used to. You don't explain your motives. You don't correct misunderstandings unless it benefits you. You let people believe what they want. Because belief controls behavior. Some will underestimate you. That's useful. Some will fear you. That's useful too. Some will project strength or malice or mystery onto you. All of it feeds the same outcome. They adjust. You've become the variable they can't model. And that's what the psychological profile actually marks. Not danger, not brilliance, not threat. It marks uncontainability, the inability to be reduced to a single narrative. You're not consistent in the way systems need you to be. You evolve mid-observation. You learn while being watched. You adapt without announcing the shift. That terrifies anything built on prediction. You don't seek dominance because you understand something deeper. Dominance is temporary, but influence compounds. You don't need to win loudly when you can tilt the environment and let outcomes fall your way naturally. You don't need to confront when absence creates more disturbance than presence ever could. You've learned how to disappear without losing relevance. That's not avoidance. That's positioning. And here's the paradox that makes you dangerous in a way few people ever become. You still feel deeply. You didn't numb yourself. You didn't shut down empathy. You just stopped letting it hijack your decisions. You feel pain without drowning in it. You feel anger without letting it steer. You feel attachment without surrendering control. That balance, that razor edge between compassion and calculation, is what separates survivors from operators. You don't need to prove your strength because you've already tested it under conditions most people couldn't endure for a week. You know exactly how ugly things can get, how unfair, how quiet the betrayal feels when it finally lands. You've sat alone with thoughts that would unravel other minds, and you came back functional. That alone rewired you. So when people sense something off about you, it's not arrogance they're detecting, it's depth. Layers they can't scan quickly. Motives that don't announce themselves. A calm that doesn't come from comfort, but from familiarity with chaos. You don't threaten the world by acting out. You threaten it by existing as proof that its scripts are optional. And once you realize that, something changes in how you move. You stop chasing milestones that don't matter. You stop arguing with people who can't follow your reasoning anyway. You stop trying to be understood by systems that only understand compliance or rebellion, never transcendence. You choose your battles by choosing whether to engage at all. That's when power becomes almost boring to wield. Because the real flex isn't domination, it's discretion, knowing when to speak and when to let silence rot the narrative someone else is trying to control, knowing when to step forward and when to let the absence of you create more tension than your presence ever could. You're not lucky, you're not blessed, you're not cursed. You're trained by experience in a way no institution could replicate without destroying the subject. And now that you've seen your own profile, now that you understand what pressure revealed instead of erased, you don't have to rush. You don't have to prove anything. You don't have to escalate. The world already knows something changed. It feels it every time you don't react the way you're supposed to, every time you smile instead of flinch, every time you walk away without needing the last word. That's the signal. And once a signal like that exists, it never stops broadcasting. You're starting to notice something else now. The aftershocks. Not external chaos, but internal quiet. The kind that only arrives when your mind has crossed a threshold it can't return from. You don't rush anymore. You don't scramble for certainty. You can sit inside ambiguity without needing to resolve it immediately. That's not indecision, that's command. Because when you truly understand leverage, urgency becomes optional. You've realized most people mistake movement for progress, noise for power, emotion for truth. They broadcast every thought, leak every reaction, spend their lives narrating themselves out loud, like witnesses to their own insecurity. You don't do that anymore. You learned that the most dangerous thoughts are the ones kept private long enough to mature. So you let them grow. You let plans crystallize instead of blur. You let insight ripen instead of rot. You let people underestimate the depth of your awareness because you know something they don't. What's hidden lasts longer. What's obvious gets targeted. What's subtle survives. And survival isn't your goal anymore. Influence is. Here's the paradox that makes your presence unsettling. You're not hungry for control, but you understand it better than those who are. You don't crave authority, yet you see how easily it fractures under scrutiny. You don't need permission, yet you recognize how addicted others are to receiving it. That difference shows. You speak less, and when you do, it lands heavier. You move slower, and outcomes arrive faster. You no longer chase alignment. You create gravity. People orbit without realizing why. Conversations bend toward your perspective. Decisions shift subtly after you leave the room. You're not manipulating, you're clarifying. Because clarity is invasive. It exposes contradictions people would rather keep comfortable. It forces others to confront what they've been avoiding. And when someone stands calmly in that clarity, unapologetic, unflinching, it triggers discomfort in those still negotiating with their own fear. They sense you're no longer available for certain games. You won't be baited into outrage. You won't be dragged into proving yourself. You won't perform vulnerability for approval. You know the difference between transparency and exploitation now. You've learned that not everyone deserves access to your inner world. Some people only want to map it. Some only want to weaponize it. Some want to drain it so they can feel larger by comparison. You don't give them the chance. That's another mark in the profile. Selective openness. You can be warm without being porous, kind without being naive, present without being exposed. You understand that boundaries aren't walls, they're filters, and filters don't block everything, they refine. That refinement is why your energy feels different. It's not intensity, it's density. There's weight behind your words now. History, evidence, scar tissue converted into insight. You've paid the price for every conclusion you hold. That's why you don't debate casually. That's why you don't argue hypotheticals. You've lived the edge cases. You've tested the extremes. And you survived the answers. You've also noticed how time feels altered around you, how patience stretches, how waiting doesn't agitate you anymore. It informs you. You watch patterns repeat. You see who panics, who postures, who collapses when pressure doesn't resolve on their timeline. You file it away. Because you're no longer surprised by human behavior. You're disappointed by it less often, too. You've accepted that most people will choose comfort over truth, belonging over integrity, certainty over growth. That acceptance didn't make you bitter. It made you accurate. Accuracy is mercy without illusion, and that's why you don't rush to save everyone. You understand that not all suffering is accidental. Some people are loyal to their pain. Some identities are built around limitation. Some cages are defended from the inside. You don't force doors open anymore. You wait to see who reaches for the handle.